What's up, everybody? I wanted to make this video and I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what I'm really gonna get into too tough. All I know is I wanted to talk Tekken 8. Because Tekken 8 is in such a crazy place right now. Tekken 8 is in a crazy place right now because on one hand, Tekken 8, I believe personally, is so close to being a really good game. But it's also so far for so many reasons, right? Now, me personally, I'm probably not as down on Tekken as a lot of people. A lot of, especially legacy and hardcore Tekken players are. I'm maybe not as down on it as a lot of these players. Because me personally, especially when it comes to Heat, I know there are a lot of people who don't want to see Heat in the game at all, right? There are a lot of people who think Heat doesn't belong. I personally like the Heat mechanic for the most part, right? And I personally think that the problems with Tekken 8 as of right now, like obviously if we're talking about Tekken 8 as a game, the whole lifespan and the reputation and all of that, Heat has a massive part to play in where Tekken 8 is standing right now. But the way the game plays right now, I think Heat is in a good place. I personally don't think Heat is the problem that this game has. I think the changes they've made, a lot of the changes they've made are the changes we were asking for going into Season 2. We were saying, hey, if they make this change here, Tekken 8 could be a really good game, right? They went in, they nerfed the frames on heat engagers. Now heat engagers are what, like minus, if you get hit with a heat engager, you're -8, something like that, right? You can sidestep a lot of options. You have counterplay. At least you can throw out a power crush, right? Heat bursts. Heat bursts are no longer homing and all of this type of crazy stuff. I still think there's a lot of problems with Heat. Heat smashes in general, I think, have way too much priority over stuff. I don't think Heat smashes need to break armor. I don't think Heat smashes need to beat parries and stuff like that. But for the most part, I think Heat is a mechanic that is not wildly overtuned. I think we could live with Heat the way it is right now. I think the major problem we have in Tekken 8 is character based. I think characters are just running around being egregious, right? And yes, a lot of the stuff that characters are doing that is egregious is tied to Heat, right? Like a lot of the thing is Lydia, for example. Lydia goes into Heat and becomes a boss character, plays one player Tekken, right? Law goes into Heat and he can do a combo, regain Heat and have more Heat than he started with, right? It's a lot of it is tied to that. However, at the end of the day, it's still character specific characters being overtuned, right? It's not the Heat mechanic itself, it's the characters, right? And that is the biggest issue we face. I think that is just the balance, general balance of characters is what is the biggest problem when it comes to Tekken 8, right? Now, the reason why I even wanted to talk Tekken 8, like I said, Tekken 8 is real close. If we nerfed these characters, Tekken 8 would be in a really good place, if you ask me, right? Like if we toned down and brought down all the characters, and I mean all of the characters, right? Tekken 8 would be in a really good place. My thing is, I'm at the point now, we've been through patch after patch, and I'm here saying the same thing we've said for the past few months since Season 2 dropped. We are on the cusp of one of the most important patches I've ever seen on Tekken, right? But guess what? That's the same thing I said for the last patch, and it's the same thing I said for the patch just before that, right? And I'm at the point now where I just don't really believe that they're willing to make these changes, right? Because there's so many, I'm gonna get into some of these reasons, but at the end of the day, this is the Tekken that they want. I just finished watching, well, I just finished this weekend, right? So obviously yesterday, as of this going up, the mix-up. I'm sorry, right? Now we've seen, like I've mentioned before, Combo Breaker, CEO, I think there was a few other ones, Brussels Challenge. We had some good Tekken. This grand final specifically was some of the worst Tekken I ever tuned in to watch, bro. Like, let's be honest, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the players, especially, who ended up winning, bro? I forgot the name already. Tibetano, right? not trying to take anything away, but the grand finals was literally just Tibetano pressing buttons, John Din having to respect his buttons, Yon Ding trying to take his turn at some point, but Asuka just mashing and gorilla. That's what it was, man. There was no real Tekken being played. There was no real, like, there's no moments where a player takes a great option and you think, damn, that was really smart. There's none of that anymore. It was just Asuka doing Asuka things. Tibetano trying to get, not Tibetano, Yonding trying to get in where he can. Until he switched to Anna and just started doing Anna stuff to combat the Asuka stuff. And it's just bad Tekken. And it's because of the characters. It's not really Heat at this point. It's the characters are so wildly overtuned that we don't have to really play Tekken anymore. You just overwhelm your opponent and try and make sure he never really gets a turn, right? And this is where the problem is. This is why I don't really feel like they are really even gonna make these changes. I mean, for one, right? Like, these characters, like I said, these characters have been a problem. For Asuka, for example, Asuka's been a problem since season 2 dropped. Right? Like, all of this stuff, they added a lot of this stuff in season 2. It's been a problem since then. They've made no attempt to nerf this stuff, right? This stuff could have been nerfed. I think in a lot of cases, we as Tekken fans, we as Tekken players, we're kidding ourselves, bro. We're playing ourselves, right? We're almost leading ourselves to believe that this stuff is going to change. But I think in the reality, I think this is Tekken now. I think this is Tekken now. Like I said, we're on the cusp of this new patch, and usually I might be wrong that it might come tomorrow, but I'm sure usually at this point we have that kind of that patch sheet where they're telling us, and we kind of have a general idea of what's coming, right? But usually we get that patch where it's like, all right, this is what we're doing for this patch. We're gonna focus on this. We're gonna focus on that. When you think about this next patch, and a lot of it is, it's even more than just the state of the game. A lot of it is down to like the way that they market their stuff and stuff like they've shown nothing. We know nothing. We know nothing about this patch. We really have seen nothing. Maybe there's a Tekken talk coming tomorrow. I don't know anything of that. We know nothing of Fucking Rum. They've shown us nothing. We've had like a little trailer. We had them talking to Michael Murray about Muay Thai. We don't care. They've really shown us nothing. Whereas you compare it to other games like Street Fighter. I'm not even gonna compare. Bro. But like I said, we know nothing about this upcoming patch, and if I'm honest, I think it's because they're not gonna give us what we want, bro. If I just have to be honest, I think that we know nothing about this patch because they're not gonna give us what we want. I don't think this patch is gonna be a big patch like we're all hoping. I don't think, I just don't. I think that they've probably put too much time into Fucking Rum. They don't have the time to make the changes that is necessary for this game. And even if they had the time, I don't think they want to make these changes. Like I said, this is the game that they want. And you know what really, where I stopped and I thought, yeah, because first of all, like, I'm just thinking back, like, even thinking back to the start of season 2, right? And just thinking about the state that it was in. And again, like I've said this before, and I'm just like, you don't get a game in that state by accident. This shit doesn't happen by accident. You don't accidentally buff characters to the moon the way that they buff characters to the moon. That is purely intentional. Listen, they want this game to be just overwhelming offense, right? So you look at season 2 and you think, wow, that was kind of ridiculous. And then you stop and you think, I mean, you could argue maybe this is the worst Tekken has been, but like, when you stop and you think and you remember how this game was on release, then it opens your eyes again and you're like, this is what they want, bro. When you think about the Heat system, for example, you had completely homing Heat Burst, bro. You had Heat Burst that was killing you at the end of a round. Checkmate. You can't touch me. I'll Heat Burst and you die. You can't sidestep it. You can't sidestep it. You can't press a button because I'm going to press Heat Burst and you're going to die. That's the state that this game was in when it dropped, right? And that's just on the surface. Things were way worse than that. You had Devil Jin Heat smashing you from across the screen, bro. And then it goes even past that and you go even further, right? And this is where it's like, damn, I remember being in that hall in Amsterdam, 2023, I think, Tekken World Tour Finals, and they showed us the first clips of Tekken 8 gameplay. Now you stop and you think back to how that looked, and you tell me that this is not what they wanted. We were seeing 2 stocks of Heat. Pull Death Fist into Heat Dash, into Death Fist, into Heat Dash, into 50-50. That's what the game was intended to look like. That's what they really wanted. That's what they were going to bring to us, show us, and say, this is Tekken 8. They're going to love it. We're so far away from that. And yet, we're still so far from where we should be, right? And this is where I'm like, this is just Tekken now, because I can't see them going any further, right? They want the game to play like this. This is in their design. This is less than what they wanted. If it was up to them, they would go even, you know? So it's really hard for me to imagine that they're really gonna bring the game in the direction we want it. And again, this patch is so important because this patch is gonna tell us everything. They're talking about buffs in this patch. I'm gonna keep it 100%. There's not a single character in this game that needs a single buff. There's just not. There's not a single character in Tekken 8, the way it is now, that needs anything buffed in their moveset. Nobody, not a single move. Every character in this game needs to be nerfed. Every single one of them. I'm talking whoever you consider to be the worst character in this game needs to, whether it's Lee, whether it's Raven, whoever you think the worst character in this game is, he needs nerfs. And the characters at the top need even more considerable nerfs. It's absurd. We still have moves, and I have to say as well, like, as a community, you know, I'm giving y'all the benefit of that because I don't really feel like I should take any credit for this, but I'm gonna say as a community because I'm part of the community. But the community have to take responsibility, because all of the downplaying that this community does is exactly why the game is in the state it is. Because when y'all just sit around and downplay your character over and over and over again, what do you think is gonna happen? When you continuously downplay your character, of course they're gonna end up buffing your character, right? Buff your character to the moon. When Jin players looked at Jin down 2 and said, it's not even that good. It's not even that good. And now Jin players are looking at down 2 and saying, oh, it's rubbish, it's useless. One of the best lows in the game you're talking about. Talking about one of the best lows in the game. We're talking about a high crushing power low that's practically homing with great range, and it's not even launch punishable. And y'all saying it's not even good. Right? And we could go down the list. It's so many of the community, so much of the community just downplay, constantly downplay. I don't understand why people can't just keep it a buck and say, yo, my character's a bit stupid, bro. I'm a Lydia main, bro. I'll put my hands up and I'll say this character is ridiculous. This character is ridiculous. Now, of course, when we're comparing to other characters in the game, like, we could say, hey, my character's not as ridiculous as Anna. You know, my character's not as ridiculous as Asuka and Clive. This character's still ridiculous, man. All the characters are crazy. Tekken 8 it's in a state, and I feel like it's about time that we have to accept that this is what they want the game to be, and this is just what Tekken is. Now, will we see some nerfs in this next patch? I'm sure we'll see some, right? I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't see how we get through this patch without Anna being nerfed, without Asuka being nerfed. At least At least those two, right? Like, we could go down, but at least those two characters. I don't see how we get through this patch without them being nerfed considerably, right? But if it goes on the other end and we see significant buffs to characters and we see minor nerfs, again, it just tells you. It tells us all we need to. With this being, they're saying the last patch before, you know, after this patch, they're kind of just going to let the game rock. If they don't make significant changes, then they're telling us loud and clear where this game sits. And I think we all need to just accept it and either, you know, make our decision where it is. I'm going to see where the game sits after the patch. And I might, you know, as when Season 2 dropped, I stepped away and I might just have to step away again, right? As much as I hate to say it, I love Tekken. There's really not any other fighting games I'd rather play when they're at their best. But Tekken is far from its best right now. I think that's about all really that was on my mind. Just the idea that we need to just be honest with ourselves, and you know, we need to probably accept that this is what Tekken is now. Tekken is just aggression. It's just 50-50s. It's like so much of the soul and depth of the game has been taken away when it comes to Oki, and all of that type of depth that made this game beautiful is being removed for just canned forced 50-50s. You guess, you die, you guess, you live, you guess. If you guess right, then you get to make your opponent guess. That's what Tekken 8 is right now. Falcon Rum's coming. I mean, he doesn't look too crazy, but, you know, what can we really say? Tekken 8. This next patch is huge. And I just wanted to maybe say it out loud so that I can accept it myself. But yeah, Tekken 8 is at a crossroads that is really going to determine where this game goes moving forward. We're either going to see them make changes that we really want to see and give us a little bit of hope, or it's just going to continue down the same path and, you know, it's going to open up our eyes and we're going to see that this game doesn't really have any great future. But that's it. I'm going to be checking out the patch when it drops, obviously. And we can only cross our fingers and hope. But yeah, content is going to be content moving forward, whether it's Tekken or whether it's another fighting game. I don't know. Keep your eyes on the channel and we'll be doing that moving forward. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about Tekken 8 right now and the future of Tekken 8. Do you believe in the devs at all? Or are you on my boat where I'm leaning and sailing, where I don't really think that, I just think, well, I said everything I think, so. Until next time, peace.